think we are recording. All right. Hey there, it's Justin Fox. We got Alan Wozni. We are here with Av Udakuri from Vizetto, which is the company that runs Reactive Suite. And they are currently live and have launched their offering on the Backers platform, currently raising money. So you can now invest in Vizetto Inc., which is the basically the company that has developed Reactive Suite. Av Udakuri, thank you very much for joining us. Av, why don't you tell us? We are literally on Reactive, right? This is sort of you're pushing the Reactive Suite of tools, if you will, to use in this presentation. So appreciate you joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Vizetto and Reactive and where you see the company going?
No, for sure. Thank you for the opportunity. Good to see you guys again. Well, my name is Av Udakuri, a company based out of Toronto. I started founder and CEO at Vizetto. And to be honest, about 4 or 5 years ago, I started the company with this idea of, cool interfaces. Like think about Minority Report, think about CSI and James Bond. And, people always, the concept of futuristic was doing cool things with your hand and data just flies, right? Like think about CSI. Here's all the databases where this guy with the brown hair was detected and boom, and they're just sorting things. We started playing around with these concepts, not necessarily knowing where they're going to end up. Before you know it, we created a remote meeting platform.
Right.
Oh, Justin, before
I was going to say,
Justin, where are we live? Where are we on the Streakers website? Sorry, the Backers website. Where are we live right now?
We're not live anywhere, actually. We're not live anywhere. This is being recorded.
Thank you, Justin. I just wanted to clear because I went to the Backers on LinkedIn. I thought it was there. Okay,
it's a misnomer that it says live at the bottom there. It could potentially have been live, but
do you want to start over from scratch? Like, do you want to?
No. This is all good. This is
part of the process.
This is off the cuff. This is so. Why don't we get it? So we wanted to ask you some questions. So tell us. Obviously, you mentioned sort of the I'd say pivoting obviously early on. Kind of changing from flow to flow. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're at right now? We're obviously talking on the Reactive Suite. I know we've kind of I've been part of the growth as you guys have been going through over the past couple of months with each release. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what Reactive Suite is right now and what it can do and maybe the use cases or the applications of who could use this and why it's, so sort of groundbreaking or revolutionary.
If you look at even this platform right now, this is what we're used to. All of us are tiny little postcards and our content takes over. But, here's what actually happens on every type of presentation. We put up a wall with some picture on it, and we talk for 20 minutes. Hold on. Am I not the speaker? I'm talking to 20 minutes, but I'm a tiny postage stamp on the bottom of the screen, which makes no sense. That's like, why are we hiding? And for us, Reactive completely changes the balance of the content. I ask people all the time, do you go into a meeting and put up a slide deck right here and talk behind it? Maybe peek out from the side.
Ab, you have one where you have one of those videos on your website where it shows people paper bags in a meeting. They're all wearing paper bags.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because you know what? This mode right now, when I go into a normal Zoom type mode and we're all tiny little dots on the bottom of the screen, how are we supposed to see each other engage and feel like people? Like even right now, you three are tiny little film strip on the side.
Hey, we're over here. We're here.
Exactly. But the reality, engagement happens when people feel like they're talking to each other. So what we do here at Vizetto is we created tools that create immersiveness on Zoom, Teams, StreamYard, it doesn't matter. I want you to be immersed. I want you to get a sense of space, right? So I want you to feel like you're in my home office right now. There's a piece of glass here, and I put up that content as a piece of paper on the glass. Proverbially, I'm just showing it to you, right? And I can then pick up a pen, I can ink and highlight, and we can have a conversation. What do you think about this tagline? Should this logo be bigger? I can actually have a conversation as if I'm in front of you.
Real time.
Real time.
Real world, real time. So interesting. I remember just the other day we were on a call. You showed sort of the phone version. Are you able to kind of quickly jump to the phone version, which obviously you can start showing things like mobile apps. You can start showing what's on your phone, whatever it is that you want to show, right? And you can start doing exactly what you did there.
You could put up any type of content. For example, they always say, don't send out a contract without legs. I have the opportunity to stand beside a contract in a call and look at my content. And by the way, this is all part of it. I have a second monitor to the right of me. So whenever I'm interacting, I look over there and I use my mouse and I circle and I look back at you and your gaze follows, right? As soon as I look here, you're automatically looking there. And then I look back at you. So you know that you can communicate back with me. So the opportunity to ink, highlight, circle, point out different things, and it doesn't matter. I could be in marketing and we pull up a deck. I'm going to pitch to you a new concept or a new video. I can now bring this content up and talk about the logo, or hey, this is important for us over here.
Wait, come on, Art Vandelay? Was that Art Vandelay?
It was Art
that
Vandelay.
Comes from Seinfeld. That's amazing.
Well, I have a whole I have a whole presentation on latex as well. So. So the opportunity is endless, but here's the cool thing you were talking about. I can actually pick up my device here, and it's got AirPlay and Miracast built right in. So now I can bring my phone in and I can give you a demo. So let's just say this is my mobile app. I can come in and tell you that this is the new feature and take a look at that.
That's a green screen. By the way, what you're doing now, if you're talking about that, the story, it's called a green screen. That's just a social media trend, and you're doing it right in the Vizetto app, which is great. The Reactive Suite.
Also reviewing or edits, or you know how when they comment on a video, they have the video up and they're like, take a look at this guy playing this game. Right? So I have the opportunity to do that live and create this immersive experience where things are pinned up and I can do incredibly cool things. So that's what Reactive is all about. Reactive is about creating immersive, engaging experiences, remote meeting experiences, where we all feel like we're connected to each other. You build trust, you convert, you remember me and my deck. And a lot of it is based on neuroscience. So we looked at neuroscience of how our brains work. Did you know that on most Zoom meetings, like your brain goes into low power mode? That's why you fall asleep. Like it's hard to pay attention. Why do you pick up a phone and do something else, or or why are you multitasking in a Zoom meeting? It's not actually your fault. If your brain doesn't get enough activity, enough stimulation, it goes to sleep. So.
But that app, that's just why people, when you think of, they try to stimulate by doing polls and questions and asking, but people aren't really engaged fully. But from the few minutes that we've been together here, we are engaged.
Okay. I doze out for 15 minutes. Suddenly you ask me a poll. Okay. I say A. I mean, you can't just come in and suddenly and say 19 minutes later, I'm going to ask you a poll. Engagement is a continuous process.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can't go do this and go, okay, for 19 minutes, I'm going to stare at the screen. So you're going to ask me a poll. And this is what actually happens with e-learning as well. I see a video. What do I do? Skip, 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 skip. Like I'm trying to play it in 3 times speed because I hate watching that video. It's a pre-canned video. It's static. There's no interactivity with it. But you know what's interesting is, unless we're sociopaths, when we're talking to each other face to face, we don't have to do that. We don't have to pin our eyes unless we're super boring people. But our brains are wired to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So Zoom doesn't understand that. They're saying it's the opposite. I'm going to make you disappear. And Zoom is saying, hey, that's okay. But that's why we're so disengaged. Once you start seeing people interact and talk, and when I go, okay, tell me if you like this idea right here, engagement happens.
So, okay, so a couple things. So just kind of going through sort of what we've been talking about, some of the ideas around, putting together engaging presentations. But before you jump into that, what is reactive, pitch, stage, and scribble? Like there's variations or versions. Jump into that. And then I think I'd love to hear your thoughts on what we're just talking about, sort of best practices for engaging presentations, using the Vizetto or the Reactive suite of products.
Sure. So Reactive Suite is a collection of apps. It's like Microsoft Office. There's Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You know, at the end of the day, what you do in PowerPoint, you can do in Word, right?
Right.
Like, I can go landscape, make a slide. I've seen great documents created in Excel that I thought were in Word. So there's these fine lines, but there's a lot of gray. Similarly, we realize there's different type of meetings. There's meetings where we just pitch. I have one deck and I'm just going through. Then Stage is a product that allows you to compare multiple documents. I can bring up multiple files. I am an interior designer. I want to show you concept A versus concept B. I need multiple documents up on the screen at the same time. And Scribble is a huge whiteboard. What if I want to brainstorm? So what we realized, there's a lot of different type of meetings: project update meetings, Kanban meetings, brainstorming meetings. Sometimes you need to move Post-it notes around. Sometimes we're focused on remote meetings, and our long-term strategy is to conquer every type of remote meeting. But we're going to start with the biggest ones. 90% of us pitch. What we do is we put up a deck and we go through and we present our company or product. We give a town hall, we give a board meeting of financial statements, blah, 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 blah. Right? And then beyond that, a bunch of us do complex design meetings where we're presenting multiple concepts. So Reactive has multiple different components designed for different meetings. Then the second part of the question you asked me is, tell me what a remote meeting best practices look like, right?
Right.
Number one, you are 90% of the value of the meeting. Remember that. It's not your deck. If your deck could just do all the selling, you don't need salespeople. You don't need presenters. Just email the deck out. Guess what? Purchase orders will just magically come in. Cha-ching, like why? Like, every CEO should fire every salesperson and just make decks. The reality is the deck is a visual aid. So you're 90% of the value. Don't come up with the scenario where you're this. That doesn't make any sense.
That's 90% right there, Av. That's 97% of the presentations I've watched over the last 4 or 5 years. And it's even tomorrow, I'll just to share with you, Start Engine has five companies will present. I can guarantee you they'll have this format right there tomorrow. I will sit on it. Kevin O'Leary is going to look at them and he's going to be engaged. Everyone else kind of, puts their, this is it, Av.
This is it. Okay. Number two, it's so people want to talk to people. That's number one. Number two, it's called associative memory. So Alan, if you ever wanted to remember 5 things, do you remember the old adage, make a rhyme, never eat shredded wheat, and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, like as an accountant, we used to do the acronyms as many as you could to learn lists. Yeah, use acronyms.
Invention up. Invention up.
I have CoveMop. Like mine's CoveMop. I'll tell you CoveMop. It's accounting, but I'll tell you what the CoveMop means when after Justin tells us what.
Yeah. I think it's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, whatever, right. Saturn, Neptune,
nice.
Jupiter, whatever. I don't remember it all, but I think it's from a cartoon.
So probably, anyways. Probably The Simpsons. That's how memories work. Single pieces of information don't get remembered. Multiple pieces of information together. That's why you need your brand, your icon, your logo, me with my deck, my colors. So I'm creating a stage, or I'm creating this environment where everything becomes memorable. So when you think about a tagline, you'll remember me. That's what you need, whether I'm selling or whatnot. That's number one. Number two, called reinforcement memory, reinforcement learning. So the biggest, most prestigious universities in the world, where you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in tuition, guess what's happening? They write on a blackboard. The professor goes up and they write. Because when you write and you watch someone write, something very powerful happens. There's mimicking, mirroring, associative memory, all sorts of things actually combine together. Because when you watch someone write, your brain actually mimics those actions. When I watch you write, I read it, I hear you say those words.
Yeah.
All the senses reinforce together. So right now, this is what's actually happening in a normal remote call. In a normal call, I'm going to say, well, step number 1 is this and step number 2 is this. You have no idea what I'm pointing to. You could be reading this while I am here. You could be looking here while I'm pointing this out. So how do we change that? Because when I come in and circle that and say 46%, or there's 69% over here, you hear and read the same thing. So all this creates a very powerful memory. Why do you care? Because 2 months down the road, when you're making a buying decision, I'm going to make a buy, all the notes and all the surveys and all the analysis, guess what? Out the window. How many times have you gone back 3 months ago and looked at every note of every meeting that you've had?
I do. I do from time to time. But Av, I want to take, you've taken me back to days when I was in Toastmasters, and I was in, and it's literally, they have several, I think it's 12, it's like, it's not 12 steps of AA, but it's 12 different types of presentations, right? You've combined at least 6, where you're moving around, you're writing, you have different props, you move yourself around. It's incredible. I mean, Toastmasters should be jumping all over this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I've not thought of that.
There you go. Well, and so you talk about, obviously making your image large so you stand out, sort of inking, marking up the document, and then sort of in your, talk about spontaneity as Alan just talked about. So we've been spontaneous with this presentation. I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball just for the hell of it. Not too hard. Why don't you take sort of the next few minutes? Do you want to pitch everyone that's watching? Take us through the Vizetto pitch deck, which you're kind of already started through, and give us a presentation using Reactive to pitch Vizetto to potential investors that are currently watching this video, and give us those, mark it up, show us. We didn't really talk too much about Scribble, but that's sort of the marking up and some of maybe the whiteboard portions. But let's walk us through Vizetto. Give us a pitch on why someone would want to invest.
Yeah, why would I invest in this?
Why would I invest, or why would somebody watching right now invest in Vizetto? Give us that pitch. Go. 3, 2, 1. Av, you're up.
Okay, so if you think about future of work, if you think about hybrid work, every CEO is saying, come back to the office. Why? Because they're seeing something that the employees don't, which is engagement. I want the water cooler talk. I want to create bonds in my team so I can call up Justin and I feel like I know him and I can hash out an idea. On remote calls, what happens? I have to go create a presentation, put it into a PowerPoint, go ahead and have a conversation. Justin doesn't remember me. I don't remember him. No one is creating these long-term bonds that actually happen over the water cooler. Now, I'm not saying that technology can replace breaking bread. Okay, you have to still break bread and have these social, cultural aspects, but we can go ahead and bridge the gap in order to create a really great, engaging environment. So future of work is going to rely on next generation tools. We cannot be trapped in a PowerPoint deck nonstop because that's not going to be efficient. So this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar market segment called remote presentation enablement. Now, if you think about Meta, they are raising tens of billions of dollars so that you can put a vacuum cleaner on your head. You look like a pink giraffe and I look like a green monkey floating in space. And they're expecting us to go do business like that. I'm going to call BS on it because I don't think people want to feel like they're in a game. I think people want to connect because they want to connect with people. I'm not looking to be in a Roblox world, and that's great for entertainment. So it's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity, and remote work is already changing the way the world communicates. So if you think about today, there's a ton of studies. Zoom meetings are not that effective. There's a lot of surveys that show, first of all, Eberhardt's curve, 70% of information is forgotten within 24 hours. 69% of executives didn't feel that remote sales are effective. And recently I saw a survey. Did you know that 92% of executives said your on-screen presence is important? I don't care the work that you did, but if you're not present on screen, A, I don't think you're paying attention. B, I think you're distracted or doing something else, or maybe you don't deserve the credit that you do if you're not showing up. Because unfortunately, that's how our brains are wired, okay? We're not machines just to look at output. So today the problem is people are not necessarily presenting. And what we have done is we have a tool that allows you to create powerful meeting presentations and experiences no matter what. I don't care if it's StreamYard. I don't care if it's Zoom or a Skype. You share your screen on reactive and
wait, does people use Skype? Do they use Skype?
A couple of Skype calls. Isn't that shocking? It is, especially in defense and government and all that. Man, I get Skype links. I don't even know how to join them. It's insane. So this is all we do. We pin your camera and we manage your image. We let you present any type of file or document as you saw, including your branding and your name. We let you ink and highlight. So this is really critical. And we also have really cool recording tools. So I can record video messages to email, stream to social media, create a broadcast, save a video. Here's my product pitch. So it's not only a content real-time streaming tool, but it's also a content creation tool. So if you're an influencer and I want to put up a video up there and talk to that video, you can create awesome, cool little things. So that's what Reactive is about. We have about 20 patents filed to date right now.
So to that, just before you move on, what you just described there is kind of this, it's called, is it called the real, what is it called? Be real? The Be Real. Everyone's, okay, it's a Be Real moment. So they create a snap and then they have they change so you have two superimposed. So what you just described is like a Be Real thing that influencers could use, but real time more than just a snap. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're leveraging things like reinforcement learning, visual stimulation, associative memory. Lots of cool things are going on. And
Alan's hip to the Be Real. The Be Real.
I literally, it's a Be Real moment. How many times I heard it over Christmas, right? What you just described there, Av, is a Be Real. You've hit. We've already talked green screen. You're really on the hip. You're. If you just get that genre of age people, but he's a Zoomer himself.
A Zoomer? How old am I?
Zoomer. That's a Gen Z. Oh no, that's your kids are Zoomers.
No, I'm not a Zoomer. I'm a Gen X, millennial. I'm a Zennial. Anyways, no, but yeah, so it is interesting, Av, because I'll just touch on sort of from my own perspective, having done video, a lot of different presentations, a lot of live streaming, a lot of like integrating all kinds of different green screens, as Alan was saying, different apps. I've used things like Wirecast, where you're trying to do like almost like a full-on production, right? And you're pulling all these things in, but it takes a lot of time. There's a lot of costs involved. There's a lot of knowledge that's involved. This is very plug and play, very much downloaded to your laptop. It's right out of your laptop, and you're basically up and running within seconds, which I think is going to be our next presentation. Is I've gone through version sort of 1 point whatever. We're not going to go through, you and I walking me through kind of starting out with version, the whatever version is now 2 point whatever number it's on. Sure. But yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up next presentation, but I'll let you keep going. Sorry,
the major reason to invest right now, and the reality is take a look at the TAM SOM. From a TAM point of view, there's over 1 billion video conferencing users today in the world.
Right.
Okay. Now I'm saying
all market.
Yeah. So if they all pay, by the way, our product cost is $30 a month. So you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in opportunity. But the reality is if we go after the top 100,000 people in the world who present, who teach, who coach, who make a living because they have to actually look good, and there's a ton of those, you're still talking about $100 million SOM from an ARR point of view, which is significant for a new company coming with very little competition. So we have a ton of different ideas as to how this is going to be $1 billion company. And the reality is there's no one close to that. So as I said, our product starts at about $30 a month. And for $30 a month, someone can go put this on their laptop and create incredible meeting experience. So if you're a consultant, you know what? You live and die by your brand, your presence, and your quality of work.
That's right.
And a huge percentage of that quality of work is your ability to deliver that result. So, hey, I'm the consultant. You just paid me $50,000. I'm going to go onto the call with the CEO, and I'm going to present my findings. And if I do that, talk, guess what? Your impact is far less than me being able to look at the CEO in the eye and say, we found this, we got this, and we got that, right? It's just incredible the impact that you can go ahead and get. Yeah. So that's why you need to go ahead and invest. And
so just a quick, let's just go back to the TAM, the serviceable and addressable and attainable market. So what were the numbers there? So you got obviously 300 billion. Go over that a little bit. So you've got, maybe you've got your 100 million. Is that kind of, what are you looking at, sort of North American, or what's that market you're SOM there?
Global, wasn't it global?
Yeah,
is that global?
Yeah, it is. So we're going after the top 1 million technology consultants.
Okay.
Okay. So we're basically saying there's about 1 million technology consultants and 12 million professionals who present. And there's a lot of stats on that.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Perfect.
out of that, we're really targeting the top 100,000 of that. So we're targeting the top 0.1% of people who present. And these are people, solution architects, consultants. You're talking about coaches, corporate coaches, mentors, lecturers, people who give keynote speeches, town halls, CEOs. So look at that list.
Can you talk to the organization that you mentioned that you're potentially bringing on board, or is that you mentioned there was a sort of a coaching organization?
No, we can't talk about our users, but I can tell you our partners.
Right.
Companies like Ricoh and Fuji and
that's from more of the hardware side, right?
They've all bundled our products, our software with that. So when you Google Reactive, you'll see a lot of our partners who are actually bundling and white labeling software. Because at the end of the day, if you are an IT services company, you are an MSP, you are a Zoom or a Microsoft Teams reseller, guess what? There's not much value. Like, everybody sells this stuff. I don't need to buy it from you. I can just go online and go get it, right? So
people made, so to your point there, Av, I mean, for the longest time, there were Slack integrators. They just literally focused on Slack, or they just focused on Zoom. What I'm seeing is, first of all, your bolt-on, your add-on to multiple presenters. In this case, you've got at least 3, maybe 4 now, StreamYard. To me, you're one of those differentiator. That's how I see it.
And out of the box too, right? With some hardware providers.
That's right.
Yeah, the bolt-on, but that bolt-on that's a key, because then people don't have to have this extra. It's like it removes friction. Do you see? Let's go back, because you wrote the competitive landscape there. Do you have anybody in this space?
The fact that, these are the type of companies: Ricoh, Optima, global giants, Japanese global giants have signed up, and they are actively involved in white labeling, bundling. I mean, we haven't done a hard launch yet. Remember, we've been in beta for a while, testing it out with thousands of users. So on that note, we've got about 2,000 beta users. We've got hundreds of paying customers right now, and we're just going into a process where we're launching. But we've got some amazing proof of concepts. We are in some big accounts, and they're all testing and giving passionate feedback. They all want to see products like this to make them look good, their companies look good, their products look good. So it's just been trying to get the resources together to go ahead and really scale.
So there's definitely been some market adoption, but go ahead, Alan. Sorry.
I wanted to just talk. Could you just remind me, when you said what you just said regarding the users already using? I heard a podcast in 2018, and it was a company called Zoom. Oh, Zoom. And they said Zoom was just there. People were using it in the office, and Zoom deserved the right, or they earned the right to add on other features. And of course, everyone knows where Zoom ended up today. But back then, it was just amongst Blue Jeans, Google Meets, Teams. I have GoToMeeting. I have 17 apps, or I used to have, of different, because as you said, someone says, I need this or that.
You name it.
And so now what I'm hearing is, if these are enterprise users are using it, you're going to be like Zoom. That's just my own view, where it suddenly says, hey, how can we get that on we have a sales presentation tomorrow. We got 50 people and blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like that's where it goes. Sorry, Justin, you want to?
No.
The CEO suddenly says, I need to give a town hall. I need to stand out. I'm giving a board meeting. But investor pitches, every startup needs to differentiate. You already said that.
Well, this is what we've been talking with a lot of our startups that we're working with, is especially Alan, is sort of, that's almost step one, is like, hey, how are you doing your presentations? Check out Reactive.
It's literally to go to
things like Robert and some of the other people that have, they've literally gone out and created, video series and content and different things around sort of that pitch model, that presentation model, using a more interactive and engaging, approach than just the, the standard video, throw up your slide deck, talk in the background, or whatever, would typically be done. Or if they're on a live, they can start to make it a lot more interactive. So yeah, I mean, we're starting to see a lot of the startups that we're working with starting to take a look at it. So yeah, it's and as you said, when the actual hard launch happens, in the next sort of 30, 45 days or whatever, sort of that timeline is, which let's talk about that. Let's talk about the timeline where we're at right now. Obviously, people can invest in Vizetto Inc. on backers, backers.ca or portal.backers.ca/offering/Vizetto is the link, which we'll probably have a link to this below. Where, tell us a little bit about the go-to-market strategy and, where we're at right now. Maybe some competition, where are we at right now?
Yeah, sure. Let's start off with competition. I mean, the reality is there's a lot of companies. I think you already pointed out, Justin, there's lots of tiny pieces to the puzzle.
Right.
You could use a Loom to record. You could do a Vidyard to go ahead and stream. You could use a Miro as a whiteboard. I could use Prezi in order to create some more like broadcasty type feeling, but they're all very limited. Prezi doesn't take in your PowerPoint. It doesn't take in your Excel. You have to create content on their own website. Like beautiful AI is competing with PowerPoint. Like, I mean, Miro is really a very complex whiteboard. It's not a piece of paper that you can sketch on or draw on. I mean, it's great for project managers or Visio. That's really like Miro's like Visio or some of those other complex tools. So what we're seeing is there's a huge lack in the middle of real-time tools. Real-time tools where I can pick up a pen and draw and ink and highlight. So we're the only ones out there with the whiteboard, presentation mode, controls your camera with brand, uses your own content as you see. I don't have to create anything. Throw PowerPoint in, throw PowerPoint in.
And the disappearing is a Snapchat feature. Justin, you might understand that, but it literally disappears, and it's not sitting there cluttering up. And you have to erase it, right? It's gone. I love that.
I do want it to stay there because I'm making an actual note or something like that. I can absolutely come in and say, okay, we're gonna
make it
move
permanent
this over here, and I can make it permanent. That's it. I just select that. So there's very few tools out there that give you this type of flexibility. There's really no competition. I mean, I might use an OBS Studio. I mean, lots of people use OBS Studio to do a watermark. Guess what? It's a really complicated way to do that. And then on top of that, they might need a Loom to go ahead and do this or that. So we're the only single platform that does everything.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned OBS. I mean, that's sort of like a Wirecast is sort of a souped up version of OBS, but paid. For the record, I don't use Snapchat, never have, probably never will. So that being said, it's Miro. We use Miro from a project management, putting together like, kind of, we use it as a, what would you call it? Sort of visualization outside of like a Figma. We use Figma more now where you've got your various screens and you can kind of draw and mix and manipulate different images and pull it in. And yes, you can collaborate, but it's very much just the whiteboard. I don't think there's a live stream option. There's definitely not pulling in. It's very difficult even to pull in an image. So I can't imagine pulling in a deck or anything like that or any sort of PowerPoint. So yeah, I mean, it's and this whole concept of being live or kind of in the moment and being able to do everything at your fingertips, I think is really cool, especially with the multiple documents being able to pull in. So yeah, anyways, that's my 2 cents.
You come from a space of, and it's your history, because as I understand, your experience the 10, 13, 14, whatever years before, it wasn't like you just sort of, you're a guy who kind of created something functional. You worked up this through your time. I can't remember who was Samsung or whatever.
5 different startups. I've been involved in technology consulting, almost over 100 patents to my name, hardware, software, always been a startup founder, whether it be a CTO. I started 4 of my own companies. Last one was called Banto, where we invented a new type of touchscreen technology and we scaled it to profitability, 80 patents in that company alone. We invented a new type of sensor that companies like Panasonic and Ricoh and NEC actually integrated into their touchscreens. So as an example, a fun fact, CNN's John King's election screen, that big election screen? That's actually our hardware. That's actually our hardware. During the elections in 2020, they gave us a shout out saying, thanks for the integration. So we've done some really cool stuff. If you walk into any Cineplex Saudi on movie theater, all those massive touchscreens that you see, they're all ours. So we have a lot of stuff that's actually out there. And so, yes, the team is very seasoned. We have decades of experience with product-led growth strategy, lots of experience in scaling, raising money, getting product out there. So from a product market fit and product market go-to GTM, we really have 3 prongs. Not only are we white labeling our product through our OEM hardware partners, which is a really easy way to scale, because Rico already services the Nikes and the US Navies and the, all of those of the world. But then we have a great set of ISPs and MSPs. So if you think about IT companies who service Microsoft Teams and Outlook and Office 365, this is a fantastic tool for them to go into a small business and say, hey, you're bought 20 licenses of Teams, you've got 15 licenses of Zoom. Guess what? We can actually add all of these layers in, get you a better camera. For example, I have a decent camera here, so I look good on camera. But if you have a really low-end laptop with a grainy camera, maybe you should spend the $200 in order to go ahead and up your game, because maybe you're working on $1 million contract and you should look professional. Why do we buy a suit, right? Like, why do we actually make our environment look better? Because it's all coming back to that trust and professionalism. And then we also—
Good question. Why do we buy suits? No, that was
exactly back in the day.
Why did we get a haircut, Justin? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. Why bother? No,
exactly, right? No, but then you also have the direct strategy. People can go put their credit card in and buy the product, and it's $30 a month, and away you go. So our go-to-market strategy is really it's viral. We have a lot of great fans. We have customers who constantly recommend us, and it's a product that's shown some stickiness. So where we're at right now, we went through an 18-month intensive beta. We literally watched or been part of or got feedback from 50,000 hours of meetings. I think I have the stats somewhere. Yeah, we actually generated 50,000 hours of meetings, over 2,500 people over the last 18 months. We fixed thousands of issues, understood the pain points, and understood how people want to present. And we use that as a product-led growth strategy, and we're about to launch. So all the funds we're raising right now are meant for marketing. They're meant for support. They're basically taking raise customer success, advertising, in order to get people onto the platform.
So it's good. So why don't we what are we raising? So 100 grand currently out of, approximately probably 1.5 over the next little bit, but right now currently 100 grand on backers. And you've got other money outside of backers being raised.
We already raised 1 million. And a lot of that came from existing shareholders. We have a lead investor who set the term sheet. But here's the cool thing. We have so many customers who've invested 25, 50 grand, 200,000, because the CEO would buy our software for a company and go, this is so cool. I can see everyone buying us. So we are looking for 2 more million, and that'll allow us to hire the right type of people and create a runway for marketing, and in order to get to some real scale. Because once you get to about 10, 20, 30,000 people using the product, the fire's lit. Then you're just throwing more dry hay, which is much cheaper than fuel.
Yeah, no, 100%. So obviously raising our backers, that's great. You've got some money you've raised currently. So what are some maybe side notes that maybe people should know about Vizetto? Maybe some secrets. I know we've had many conversations. We've talked about the blue ocean, stuff like that. Is there any tidbits you want to drop? Maybe what's coming down the pipe? Obviously, you're launching the product. That's cool. Any sort of updates, features? What feedback have you gotten? Or maybe ask people that are currently downloading it, maybe to give them your feedback, or where are you at right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's we're completely Canadian. 100% of the code is developed. This is not a company that has a whole bunch of offshore programmers and it's all being done in XYZ country. No. We invented it here. The team is here. We developed it here. We're looking to scale in Canada. So it's really exciting to go ahead and launch a product in our backyard that's usually useful for that. We're now starting to do the demand gen, and there's a wait list. If you go onto the Vizetto website and put your email address down, we'll put you on a wait list, and we're getting the beta out slowly. By February, we're going to start clearing the backlog of more and more users, and big launch is going to happen into the Q1. But that's the plan. Like that's where we're at.
Cool. So, but people can obviously join the wait list for the official launch, but they can also start using essentially the beta or the version of the beta that's available now once they do join that wait list. But there's a lot that's going to come with the official launch, right?
That's right. There's a lot that's coming with the official
I just
launch.
want listeners to know that I'm thinking of Toby Lutke here. And so if I had Toby Lutke on speed dial, I'd probably say, do I have Av Utakuri on speed dial? I do. So Av, I think this is literally, you're on the cusp of something. This is just my personal view, but I have you on speed dial. I just want you to know that.
There you go. Thanks, buddy. I'll remember that.
I don't even know who Toby Lutke is.
You have no clue? You don't know who Toby Lutke is?
No.
You ever heard of a company called Shopify? Guys.
I don't think his name's Lucky though.
Lutke.
Oh, Lutke.
Lutke.
Okay.
Toby Lutke.
Toby. Yeah, I know Toby Lutke.
He's not Toby Lutke.
Tobias it's Tobias.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Tobias.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go.
Toby Lucky. I thought you said Toby Lucky. He's lucky. Anyways, there you go. Well, anyway. So I appreciate you joining us. Obviously, everyone out there, go to Vizetto.com, download or join the waitlist for Reactive, the launch coming soon, probably in the next, like you said, say 30, 45 days, Q1. So within the next couple weeks. And you can also then play around with the beta. And obviously, if you're inclined, you can now invest on the backers funding portal at portal.backers.ca. You can invest as little as $100 or as much as $2,500 in their current raise, which is live right now. So head over there if this is something that interests you or you feel that it's appropriate for you to invest in. Be sure to check it out. So anyways, Av, appreciate it. Any final words, final thoughts? You want to pull something up, pull a rabbit out of the hat? No, we're just any final quotes? What's the final quote of the day for Vizetto? What's that?
No, we're just going to change community. Everyone's that we're going to transform one presentation at a time. I mean, we got to reconnect people in this remote world, right? Like we've had 20,000 years of interacting with each other in face-to-face. We need a whole new set of tools that interact in remote, and that's where the forefront is.
Interesting. We could probably save this. We'll preface it next interview or next whatever conversation, whatever you want to call this. We're going to go through you kind of setting me up as a relatively newbie. I mean, I've used it a bit, but we'll kind of go through, show that. But I think it's interesting you sort of talk about remote work and sort of maybe where this leads into remote work and how that can, improve remote work. Alan, any final thoughts on that, or what are your thoughts on that?
We're going to capture those quotes and we're going to put, they're going to be embedded literally. And the reason I brought up Shopify and Toby Lutke is really, this is early stage Canadians, consumers, community. You can invest in an early, in my view, like a Shopify right here in Canada, down in Toronto. What street are you on in Toronto? Bloor Street? I don't know.
No, we're in Mississauga.
Mississauga, yeah.
Oh, you're Mississauga. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
There you go.
Close enough. He's in the GTA. Actually, just while we're at it, Alan just sort of touched on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Just, we can kind of dive into this as well around the sort of concept of your customers and your clients, your users, whoever that is, being able to invest in your company. What are your thoughts quickly? Maybe we'll end it on that and we can dive into that a little more next time.
Well, obviously people invest into what they're passionate about, right? They invest into, if you think about Tesla, if you think about all the great companies in the world, you're investing, the strategy should always be you're investing in what you like. Believe in what you like. And a small percentage of your net worth should go into high flyers because it's a combination, right? Like look at what's going on with Tesla. Like if you invested, you probably lost most of it because most of us got in the last 2 years. So it's very hard to predict the markets and you need to spread your risk. So putting a few $100 in, and I remember I read a story about Uber. So, the people who invested $5,000 in their early round, they ended up getting $30-40 million towards the end. It's insane the type of returns that you can go ahead and get. But hey, $5,000, like it's a shot that you have to take. It's a lottery ticket. But when you take a lottery ticket on a company that you believe in the product and looks really cool,
and you're using, and it's a fully functional product. It's, it's not like it's an idea or
Right.
very early stage. Obviously, it's a fully functioning product with customers, with a track record, with market share, market penetration, early adoption, all those things, right? So that to that point, right? It's sort of the you mentioned that early investor, right? That's kind of the idea that this opportunity wasn't available for 99% of the population prior to sort of these new regulations in, specifically across Canada. Obviously in the US, they have different regulations, but this opportunity for people to invest in a company like yours did not exist, right? So they couldn't even put their $5,000 in or 50 grand in 99% of the population, right? So it's an interesting now they can see the value of what they're investing in at a very early stage. You mentioned, investing in Tesla in the past 2 years, most people lost a lot of their money. The other thing, you look at Bitcoin, for example, I saw a stat. I don't know what the number was, 98% or the majority of people invested at literally the top. Like $68,237.
Yep.
Like 98% of the Bitcoin holders invested at the top. So now here's an opportunity to invest early days. You've raised some money. You've got projections, right? Here's an opportunity to invest early on in an early stage company, and to see that potential growth, that success with the company. And that's kind of the whole story of backers, which I think we'll talk about. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about on the next video, but we've kind of extended this video. But
Justin, before you cut that off,
we'll end it with your thoughts. I want to
have to speak
tomorrow.
Let's literally go back to the present. You mentioned it earlier, Av, about the number of presentations. I'm going back to, I'm 56, and my university, Cliche Conlon, my first presentation was to Cliche Conlon. That was Professor Conlon, Carol Conlon. She wanted us to use a cliche. How many cliche, presentations since those days? And that's 1985, right? 1986, whatever it was. How many presentations have been made globally? I'm not here to task you with that, but just imagine how many, right? You're on the cusp of disrupting something nobody's touched. The core meetings, bloody meetings. You and I talked about death by PowerPoint. You talked about
30 years, 40 years, 50 years. There's been no innovation in this market.
So this is incredible.
So on that note, we'll leave you that we're going to be back, talk about some of these things as we come in. Av, appreciate you joining us. Everyone else watching, appreciate you sticking out this long. Not sure where we're at. We're probably at about 30, 40 minutes. So thanks for sticking around. We will be back with another video live tomorrow. Alan, have a great evening. Av, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you guys.
See you guys. We will end it, and cheers.